aren't supposed to be here. Unless... Nah, I'd already be dead if you were supposed to be here. Look, I'm a side character. You're not supposed to be watching me right now. I bet you're supposed to be watching Nova. He's in my village at the moment. If you walk west for a bit, you won't be able to miss it. He's following the evil wizard Zorn? Seriously, why are you still here? You're missing all the action. I bet they're decimating all the city buildings right now, including my inn. I just rebuilt the thing last week. Fine, stay, but don't expect me to entertain you. Seriously, why would you want to stay? If I were you, I would have left a long time ago. If I were you, I wouldn't have to be a side character living this mud pit of a life. Let me tell you, the life of a side character is just as hard, if not harder than the life of a hero, but without all the recognition and glory. Audiences like you love the struggle between good and evil. It's what makes a good story, right? Especially if there are a lot of epic battle scenes. En garde! Oh. The more collateral damage, the better. But not for us side characters. Often, our homes get destroyed. On average, my village gets attacked 3 times a week. And in most cases, the heroes just expect us to clean up their messes. They get a happily ever after. We get to spend our precious time rebuilding our town so that the next villain can come along and destroy it. Sometimes I wonder if it's even worth the rebuilding. It seems as if, just when we're finished rebuilding, the next disaster arrives. Disasters occur so frequently, I'm pretty sure I can say I've lived through every type of disaster there ever was. Floods, tornadoes, fires, famine, earthquakes, evil wizards, angry ogres, vengeful witches, corrupt monarchs, all sorts of spells and curses, dragons, ghosts and spirits, robots, inanimate objects that are somehow alive. The Ice Age, missed birthday parties, constant amnesia, magical bunnies. That one was a real infestation. It took the hero a week just to get rid of those things. And after all was said and done, she decided to keep the manipulative little things because they were cute. I could see through their lies. On top of that, their blinding trail of magical sparkles didn't go away for another whole week. If you ever happen to encounter one, don't let it fool you. They may look adorable, but they have ulterior motives. Thankfully, I didn't have to rebuild my inn after that one. I actually had money for a bit. Well, that is until a cheap hero came along and a wizard came and burned down my inn. Heroes are bad business. Most of them pay well. Somehow, most protagonists have generous amounts of money to tip the innkeeper, even though they've been on the road for weeks, or they ran away from home. If you think about it, it's amazing, really. But in the end, I always have to reuse that money to rebuild my inn. I don't think I've had enough gain from a single hero to get into the positives. Have definitely gone into debt, though. No amount of money that a hero pays me will ever be worth letting them stay the night. It's not like I can refuse them, though. They're my only source of income, and whether I let them stay or not never changes anything. The villain never fails to come after the hero and leave a burning wreck behind them. There was only one payment I ever got to keep. I can still remember that hero walking into my inn.
It was storming that night, so it was dripping rainwater all over my floor. Although he was very apologetic about it. He was a young lad. His clothes were old and torn. Didn't look like he had ever had much in his life. Said he was looking for a sorcerer somewhere in the woods. I told him I didn't know anything. He was going to leave, but I told him he shouldn't be traveling in such a storm. He looked at me, ashamed, and told me he couldn't afford a night at the inn. The guy seemed harmless, so I told him he could stay for free. He tried to argue with me, but I wasn't going to let him leave in that kind of weather. By the time I woke up, he was gone, but he left his sword. This sword. With a note thanking me for letting him stay the night.
It's beautiful and useful. A weapon that a side character could only dream of having. I don't know why he left it behind. And from the news I heard later, it sounded like he needed it more than I did. From what I heard, he went and fought that sorcerer. Almost died. But he made it out alive. The sorcerer found out the guy was actually his long-lost brother and decided to move to the mountains with him. Talk about a plot twist. I'm glad he got a good ending. That guy was one of the only good protagonists to come through this village. Contrary to popular belief, heroes aren't the nicest people. Although they may look good in words, on screen, or however else you may be listening to the story, heroes aren't usually what they're made out to be. Yes, they do go on quests to supposedly save the world. But don't believe the silly notion that they always do it for everyone else. Often, they only save the world because someone they loved was in danger. And half the time, it's not even someone else. A lot of heroes only became heroes because they were trying to protect themselves. Oh, right on cue. I can see the smoke to the west. My village is burning right now. You know why? Because some idiot thought it was a good idea to go looking for the Fountain of Youth, and some evil wizard didn't want competition in finding it. Heroes are always good people. What a joke. You know how protagonists often steal items they need for their quests? No? Well, I guess the stories don't really portray them as stealing. Legendary weapons that a hero needs to complete a quest? Often stolen from side characters. My cousin sent me a letter the other day. She owns a museum of historic artifacts. Apparently, a main character stole a historic pendant that belonged to their great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. My cousin has spent 5,000 gold on it. It turned out to be the villain's only weakness or something. Anyways, that's besides the point. Whether it is used to defeat a villain or it belonged to an ancestor, it still doesn't matter. It's not theirs. My cousin lost 5,000 gold to that story. She'll likely never get it back. I feel bad for side characters that are less well off. On top of stealing items, they also hijack vehicles. You know those boats heroes use to chase after the pirates in pirate movies? Those always belong to side characters. And don't get me started on they'll give it back later. I've never heard of a fisherman who's got his boat back. Heroes are selfish jerks and you can't convince me otherwise. They always act like they're better than you because they saved a few lives on accident. Come on! You had no clue what you were doing, then you have the nerve to brag about it? Buy a brain that works. I especially hate hero monologues. They think they're so great, and they have to tell everyone about it. They go on and on, talking about how hard their lives are. It's truly unbearable. I mean, who wants to listen to that? What? Life would be so much better without heroes. Yeah, I know a few people who are jerks who aren't heroes, but only a handful. I theorize that if all the protagonists disappear, the villains would too. After all, what's the point in being evil if there isn't a hero you're trying to defeat? I'd say that most antagonists don't even care about being good or evil. They're just trying to beat the protagonist. If there were no protagonists, I could live a normal life. I wouldn't have to worry about cocky heroes. I wouldn't have to worry about my inn being burned down every 2 seconds. Imagine only having to worry about mundane things. And yet, even though they have brought me nothing but trouble, I can't help but be envious of main characters. I can't help but wish I could be like them. They get recognition and an audience who sympathizes with them. Kind of like this. Exactly like this. I guess I have been a protagonist for this small sliver of time. I haven't turned into a jerk, have I? You know, it's kind of nice. Maybe everyone should get the chance to be a main character, even if it's only for a little while. Actually, it's better if it's for only a little bit. Less chance of developing a superiority complex. But it's nice to feel like someone is listening. The smoke is gone. Must mean the hero has defeated Zorn, which means it's time to rebuild for the 2003rd time. I am a side character after all. It can't be helped. I was never supposed to be a main character, but by some mishap, I became one, if only for a few minutes. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. However, if by chance you do happen to see me again, I am a side character and always was, okay?